Hi, this is Jeff Keamy, and today I'm going to do a basic network overview of how your network might be set up. I created this little board here that kind of shows everything that you might see in your network. First thing we're going to see here is we have our modem. This is a modem from a local cable company. Modems also come as modem/routers. We prefer the modem only device and not to have that routing function. But if you do have a modem that has that router built in, you do have an option of utilizing that router as your main router for the property if you feel that that router can handle the task. You may want to look at the specs to see if that works for a particular property. For smaller properties, it may not be a problem. You can use that router as the main router. That will make it so you don't need to bring in your own router. But I prefer to have simply the modem. And from our modem, we go to our router. This is the router here. This is the UniFi Security Gateway, which is one of our options. They're good for small to medium-sized properties. Another option here is the Edge Router Lite. This is also good for small and medium-sized properties. And one of the other options I have here is the MikroTik Router Board, which is good for smaller properties, maybe 30-unit properties. Now, if we have larger properties, 100-room or more properties, the Edge Router Lite could fit that bill, but there are also other versions of the Edge Router that work nicely for larger projects. Again, the UniFi Security Gateway is going to be good from anywhere from your small properties to 150 rooms, somewhere around there. This will be able to handle that traffic. So from our modem, we have a Cat5 line coming into our UniFi Security Gateway, our router here, and we have a Cat5 line coming out from our LAN port on this router to our switch. And we have different options for switches. This is the Tough switch from Ubiquiti. You don't need to use the Tough switch. What's nice about the Tough switch is it has PoE built directly into it, so you actually don't need injectors when you're using the Tough switch, but that comes at an extra cost. And because all of our access points come packaged with injectors, you're probably going to be more likely to use something like this. This is a TrendNet 8-port switch, and essentially all that does here is from our LAN port on our router to any port on the switch, I typically put I plug in my LAN to my LAN port on my router to the switch on the last port. So usually I'll plug it into port 8, but it technically does not matter. And then from there, you've got 7 extra outlets you can use, or ports that you can use, and each one of those ports could be good for 1 access point. So this particular switch could handle up to 7 access points in a property. If you need more than that, you go upgrade to a 16-port switch. But the TrendNet, this is definitely a solid switch that's been working very well for us. It's worked well for us in interior environments and in outdoor enclosures for many, many years without issue. Right here, though, we do have the Tough switch. So technically with the Tough switch, we can go straight from the port here to our access point. But because most of our networks won't be set up that way, I'm going to show you that from the LAN port, we would then plug into our power injector. And the power injectors, again, are supplied with our access points. And that is plugged into the LAN port of the power injector. And then we have the PoE port of our injector, and that is plugged into our access point. And that's going to supply power to our access point. So essentially what we have here is we have our internet coming in through our cable modem. Our router is providing all the routing functions, IP address and port forwarding and all that stuff that routers do. And from our router, we're taking our 1 LAN port, putting into a switch, which gives us 7 additional ports for utilization. And from there, we plug into our injectors. So for this property, we had 1 access point, but if we had 4 or 5 access points here, we would just continue plugging in to our switch to accommodate for each access point that was needed there. This is Jeff Keamy, and this is a general overview of how your network could be set up in an apartment environment or a hospitality environment.